Okay.
That's not.
All right, do you need me looking this way, this way?
I guess I'll be.
Yeah,
so
and then
small,
I'm going to go over there so it feels like, okay.
Yeah, I like that.
All right. Not that I know anything about being on camera.
No,
Okay.
you're good. You're good. Just me and you.
Okay.
Awesome. So, yeah, just kicking things off.
Mm-hmm.
You already told me, but what's your name? Where are you from?
I'm Emily Mitnick. I'm originally from New Jersey. Born and raised. Living in New York City for the past 10, and now I'm currently on remote year. So, global citizen, I'm calling.
Hell yeah. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
And what job allows you to do all this remote work?
So I work in strategy and new business for a company called Stylus, and we work in trend forecasting. So we're constantly looking out at the world to see what kind of trends are happening. We are in market research, so the content that we create, big companies buy to get smart. So companies like Nike and Apple and Target, they kind of turn to Stylus for market research and trend analysis. Yeah.
Very cool. And is being a digital nomad a big trend forecast?
Yes. That's sort of why I was able to get this approved. My role typically isn't actually a remote role. My company actually prefers me in the States. But we were doing a big macro trend on the future of work back in October. So I finagled it and kind of said, hey, we're selling this content to our clients. We're writing about it. We believe that digital nomadic work-life balance and remote working is the future. So why not allow me to bring it to life? So remote year was that opportunity for me to help my company, but also selfishly get to travel the world.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Good strategy.
Yeah.
I can see why you're in it.
Yes.
That's awesome. Very cool. And, where are some of the countries you've been to through remote year?
So the actual program is it's pretty much a set itinerary. So it's a new city each month. So we started in, it was July of 2017, and we started in Europe. So we hit Croatia, Czech Republic, Portugal, and then we moved to Asia. So Japan, Kuala Lumpur, Chiang Mai, Thailand. Yeah, me too. And now we're here in South America. So Argentina for 2 months, Colombia for 2 months, and then we finish off in Mexico City.
Sweet. I've been there. Really awesome.
Yeah.
Great food. Phenomenal food.
I've heard.
If you love Mexican, it's so damn good.
Yeah, I'm really pumped. Price-wise, it's supposed to be great, and in terms of the work I do, it's also a city that we're watching right now in terms of global trends and art and design. So
nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. And what has your experience been like as a digital nomad? Would you recommend it? Pros, cons?
Mixed emotions.
Mm-hmm.
I think that you have to be a very particular type of person to be able to work and live remotely. What we're doing in remote year is very extreme, right? Because we're moving each city every month. Yeah. So depending on who you're talking to in terms of a digital nomad, for remote year, you have to be a very driven, motivated, independent person to be able to juggle it all.
Yeah.
But if you're a digital nomad and you're living in a city for 3 to 6 months, it's a no-brainer to me. I mean, as long as you have your job allows it and you're not, you don't need to save lives physically. I mean, why not? Why can't we work remotely if you can? Depending on if your performance level is the same or sometimes better, depending on the work that you do. I'm a full fan. I completely believe it. Yeah.
Nice.
I just think that society has sort of taught us or suggested to us that it's not correct, that we should be sitting at a desk from 9 to 5, that we have to punch in, and I think there's a stigma around remote working, but I think in the next year even, it's going to be shifting a lot.
I think so too. And there's other companies like Remote Year popping up.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be more and more of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I feel like, did anyone tell you you're crazy for doing this?
Oh, every day.
Yeah.
But they say it from an envious perspective, I think, because I can confidently say I'm living my own dream. This was the perfect solution for me. I'm in my early 30s. I am, single, always had one foot out the door to travel, didn't want to sacrifice the career that I built in New York, but also like I can't help the fact that I love to see the world, right? And this was a way for me to live the life I want.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
And do you have, you've had all these experiences in the last 10 months or so. What are some highlights that you've had? Just anything super memorable, beautiful places, crazy nights, doesn't matter.
I don't even know where to start. Every day on remote year is jam-packed. I do more in one day than sometimes I would do at home back in New York in a week or a month or sometimes even a year. I mean, this morning, to kind of paint a picture of what it looked like, I was up at 7 a.m., speaking Spanish to a taxi driver, trying to collect my friend's phone because he lost it last night. By 8 a.m., I had already worked out, and 9 a.m., I had my breakfast, and then I was racing over to the office here, and now I'm speaking to you. I've never met before. Tonight, I have a big live concert thingy that I'm going to. It's like so much happens in one day. It's really hard to extract the highlights. I think for me this year, it was kind of twofold. One, really awesome that I got to travel with 50 people that I'd never met, and now they're family to me. So the relationships I built through the remote year community has been incredible, and I'm just forever grateful for that because they're lifelong friends. And it's difficult to meet people that are smart and driven and also fun, as you get older. And we just all happen to collide and meet at the right time in life. So that's the first part, my family that I met through remote year. And then secondly, I think I got to learn a lot about myself this year. There's a lot of through travel, you do a lot of self-exploration, whether it's through hiking or jumping off bridges that you never thought you could do, or at different points. We've jumped off bridges, out of planes, paratriking, which I'd never done before, like really getting into my uncomfortable zone.
Very cool.
Never in my life would I imagine that I physically and mentally would have been able to do 90% of the stuff that we've done. So in that sense, just in terms of like getting to know myself, and it gets you really inspired. So that part is, I would say, the key takeaway for me. I mean, all of the amazing sights that we saw, of course, that comes with travel is obvious. But what I didn't expect out of this year was that self-love that I didn't realize I was ignoring for so many years living in New York, being distracted by my job and work and life and paying bills. Traveling and being a digital nomad has sort of allowed me to get to know myself again, which is exciting.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's what you always want. Yeah, I feel like people get so stuck in a certain way of things that they forget what their hobbies are, their interests. They get so in the zone of gotta get to the next promotion or gotta take care of all these client problems, but they forget I'm actually really into YouTube or however it might be. But,
whatever it might be.
Yeah.
I mean, even what I've also learned is, I always had that mentality, especially on a remote year. There's a lot happening every day, and you get pulled into so many exciting, events or, cliff jumping or whatever is happening that day. And sometimes it's okay to say no.
Yeah.
I was always in that mentality. I have to say yes to everything this year, dive into it all, you got this. And I did for the first half of the year. I mean, I was burned out physically. I mean, I got sick, because you don't want to say no to anything.
Yeah.
But then I learned that in the second half of the year that, it's okay to say no to things. It's okay to prioritize what you want to do for your day, which seems minimal, but for me it was a really big deal, because, by saying no to going, propelling off of a waterfall, I was able to actually spend some time on my own hobbies like photography, which is something that, I didn't realize by carving out your own personal time and saying no to certain things actually can help you develop.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
It's kind of therapeutic too.
Yeah.
I like taking pictures as well.
Yeah. It is very therapeutic.
I feel you because I've been traveling with a friend for the last 6 months, and we actually he went back home like 3 weeks ago. He was on like a bit of a tighter schedule, so he was trying to like get everything in.
Yeah.
And at first it was fine. I like, I'm a yes guy. Like,
right.
I love doing everything.
Yeah.
And then eventually I was like, oh damn, like I want to just like relax and do absolutely nothing like for like a week. And yeah, eventually I had the same kind of realization, like it's all right to say no. Like,
yeah.
It's good. Like you need like a rest day and time for yourself.
Definitely. I mean, it's like so cliche to say that, right? Everyone's like, take time for yourself, relax. But, we can get very distracted. Like, life is really messy, So it's good to have those quiet days.
Yeah.
And I don't feel guilty about it anymore. Sometimes like I'm such a person that I'm always so active and I feel like I'm working full time and I feel like I'm always go. But to step back and really just take some time to be quiet with yourself. It's so rare when you just don't have your phone on you and you, like I got really into hiking this year. Never hiked really much in my life. I mean, I would go...
Oh, Jersey.
Yeah, I mean, and then when you move into New York City, there's even less hiking.
Yeah.
So in order to find a hill, you have to take a train an hour and a half outside of New York City to get some fresh air. I moved to Brooklyn so that I could get some fresh air, right? But I really got into walking, just walking like for an hour every day where you don't have your phone on you. You just, the only way I can explain it is like kind of be quiet, which is similar, I guess, to meditating. But I don't know, little things that you pick up while you're traveling that I didn't know before.
Really? And you've been, co-working spaces are a big deal. Like,
yes.
You're here a lot. And I'm sure you've been to a different one like every month, right? In your world, like what makes a perfect co-working space? If you could like design one yourself, what would a perfect one be like? Yeah,
that's a really good question. And I've also learned not just through this experience on remote year, but just through the work I do. We kind of researched and tracked that everybody has their own work rhythm, we're calling it at Stylus, where, the way that I like to work is not necessarily going to be productive or for you, right? Yeah. So me personally, I've learned that I love being in an office, like the cafe culture that most digital nomads love, and cafes are now catering to, and even hotels and lobby spaces. I prefer an office. I am somebody that likes structure. Yeah. So I was a dancer when I was younger. I was always kind of very disciplined. So I think maybe that has a lot to do with it. But I need good light. I need easy access to an outlet so that nothing is fussy. When you're carrying and you're working remotely, you want to be able to just seamlessly plug in somewhere. Yeah. I like to have the option of having a private room to take calls for the work I do. But also I do fine with working in a louder space as long as, you'll see me with headphones in. Yeah. That's my style of working. Selena here is awesome. It's so fun. It's got that art design feel to it as well. So visually it's inspiring, which I find very important. What else for a co-working space? Good coffee. Must have good coffee. If you don't have good coffee and good Wi-Fi, don't be a workspace. Yeah. Those are the two musts. And good light, which I mentioned.
And Selena specifically, how do you like this place? Any room for improvements? What do you like about it?
Yeah, I mean, I think...
Oh, also, let's go off that.
Yeah.
This is like the first time I've seen kind of like a hostel / co-working space, which is cool. And you think that's another trend that's happening too?
Yes. So it's no shock at all to me that this is a hostel and a workspace. Yeah. Surprisingly, this is the first one that I've been to physically. I've already told my company about it because I think that it's one to watch. There is such a blurred line now between travel and work. So it's in my world, it makes sense, right? It's nothing totally unique. I just think that companies haven't really done anything yet about it. I think it's now moving in that direction. We did have, when we were living in Japan, had a beautiful workspace that was overlooking the city in Kyoto. And that was like a higher end hostel. It didn't have like a backpackers feel like this one does. It was a little bit more like a little sexier to, I think, like maybe, I don't know how to explain it, but it didn't have that backpack grunge to it.
Like boutique kind of?
Yeah, a little bit more boutique. There were nap pods and things like that. So for this one, I wish I had this kind of a hostel when I was traveling, back when I was in my early 20s. It's inspiring, I think, as a backpacker. If you see people working and co-working in a space like this, it's inspiring. You know, you can learn a lot from us, from if you were a backpacker, you know, just right out of college or whatever. This one, I love Selena. I think it's awesome. I feel like I don't have to leave here.
Yeah.
You could essentially just stay here and be good, right? You have great food. The staff is awesome. They're so nice. A tattoo parlor shop, a nail place, you know, living, working. I mean, you don't have to leave here, which is interesting. I love it. I think it's great.
I feel you. Yeah, it's almost kind of dangerous because you're like, I could just eat here.
Yeah, you're like, wait, it's been 2 days and I haven't stepped outside. Yeah. I mean, we've been to like 3 or 4 parties here since we started about a month ago.
That's the one thing I missed. I never got to get to the Selena's party.
Yeah,
well,
they have them like every Friday night.
I'm leaving tomorrow.
You're leaving. Okay.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What can you do?
Yeah, what can you do? You missed a good party. They have really good DJs that they bring in, and we went to one last week where they were it was like art installations, and each room was a different like showcasing for different art. There was a skateboarding, like half pipe. It was awesome.
Wow. Yeah, it is impressive.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah. They know what they're doing here.
Yeah, they really do. And you know, you've been to a lot of different cities, countries. You know, some places you probably want to just stay for like a week. Some places you want to stay longer.
Mm-hmm.
Where are the places that you wish you could have stayed a little longer at?
Ooh, that's a good question. I learned that I really love to be by the water. So I really loved Lisbon. Lisbon was a livable city. I could work in it easily. Had access to the ocean, mountains for the hiking that I love to do. The wine, the food is so good. So that area I could definitely see myself staying in long term or longer. BA as well, Buenos Aires. I speak Spanish fluently, so any place that's like Spanish speaking, I tend to just like gravitate towards because it's easier almost for my work as well. I get to there's business opportunities for me in Spanish speaking countries. So Buenos Aires, Lisbon, and I really like Japan, which threw me off because it was just so wildly different than any place I'd ever been to in my life, and I weirdly loved living there. Like it was a really easy. Kyoto is a livable city.
Wow. So. You're the second person that told me that.
Oh, really?
I talked to a couple of remote year people.
Cool.
Kyoto, big hit.
Yeah.
They're great.
If you've never been, go. Put on your list.
I definitely need to.
It kind of, especially because you mentioned you like Chiang Mai.
Yeah.
I could definitely live in Chiang Mai also. It almost had a feel like Chiang Mai because it's just a small village, and I rode my bike everywhere, and it was really quaint.
Yeah.
And yeah, for like a big city kid that I'm New Yorker, I loved it. It was really peaceful. And the food was so good.
Yeah, I love Japanese.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
And is there anything, I mean, remote year sounds pretty perfect. Is there anything it can improve on?
Uh-oh. This is off the record?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's always room for improvement in a growing business, particularly. That it could be 2 years and not 1.
Yeah.
Gosh, that's a hard question. Maybe the flexibility of the travel day so that if you do want to stay in a city for an extra week, that you can. That's the only thing that really comes to my mind. Other than that, it is a utopia.
Yeah.
It is a perfect bubble.
Wow.
For me, right?
Yeah.
You ask my other friends on remote year, and there's a lot of challenges and wrinkles that need to be seriously ironed out. I mean, it's still a growing organization. I just think that I've never been happier, so I can't really complain much.
Yeah.
But
that's awesome.
Yeah.
All about happiness.
Yeah.
And one last thing.
Yes.
So like, let's say there's someone that has a remote type job, and they're able to do something like this.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, what advice would you give them? Like, kind of like, in regards to what they're getting into.
Mm-hmm.
Second off, would you recommend it?
The remote year experience, or just being a digital nomad?
Digital nomad life.
So my recommendation is to have good headphones.
Yeah.
In terms of products that you need to buy, like being a digital nomad, your products that you're using are going to be completely different. Mm-hmm.
And which ones do you have?
The Bose.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, the noise canceling ones. So that if I'm out at like a festival and I have to take a call, I can just put them on. They don't know where I am. I think in terms of like initially, like what came to my mind was just in terms of packing, like. Just be prepared to live, to just unburden. We've been using this word a lot in remote years, unburden yourself, because you don't need half the stuff that we've been accumulating. And you'd be surprised how easy it is to just live with minimal stuff. But in terms of like the lifestyle, I think that the biggest challenge that I wasn't expecting is time. You have to be really diligent and extremely disciplined, because there's a lot of distractions when you're traveling. I'm sitting here in this workspace, but outside I'm in Medellin, Colombia. Like there's graffiti tours and there's food tours happening. Like I've got one foot out the door, at least I would want, right? But you have to be so disciplined. So time in the sense that budgeting your time and being okay with the fact that depending on your client schedules or time zones, if you're really productive in the morning, work your butt off in the morning, those 3 hours, 4 hours, chunks of time, so that you can use your time more strategically to go out and explore. Because the reality is you're going to want to go out and explore, so you have to be smart about your time. What else? Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Would you recommend it? Second part two.
Oh, yes. Yeah. If you can do it. If your job allows you to do it, and you don't have, like I said, I don't have many responsibilities other than, my own health insurance and my own life. I don't have any kids.
Yeah. So
if your life, style allows it, then definitely. It just, I don't know, it inspires you to do a lot more with your time. And also like remote year, I encourage you to do it, and it doesn't matter when you do it. Remote year has a mix of ages, nationalities. The oldest person on our trip was in their 60s. Wow. The youngest is early 20s.
Wow.
So there's really no time limit. It's just a matter of when it's right for you. Mm-hmm. This was my time, and hopefully I can find a way to continue this. I didn't think that this was possible. So to answer your question, do I recommend it? Yes. If you like that type of lifestyle.
Yeah. And have you met some interesting people through this program? I assume that digital nomad attracts a certain type of person. Like what types of interesting people have you met?
Oh yeah, tons. We have a joke. My closest friends are not American. One's from Australia, one's from Germany, and we're like, what if we had never met? Like our paths would just to cross. We have an acrobat on our group. We have a 60-year-old guy that sold his company to Amazon. We have a freelance travel journalist that is just like the most inspiring woman you'll ever meet.
Wow.
We are a diverse group, for sure.
Wow.
Never in my life would I think that this would be part of like my everyday network. Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I think that's about it.
Okay, cool.
Thank you so much.
All right, you're welcome.
That
All
was
right,
great.
cool. Hope that helps
Yeah.
in some way.
Oh, and quick question.
Yes.
Any chance